So, first of all, a very warm welcome to everyone. And today we're going to talk about turn your life around through Vipassana. We've got with us Shonali Sabherwal, who's an author and she's a top nutritionist. She is a best selling author, and this is her latest book. It's called Vipassana, and it is for anyone who really wants to look to start meditating. It's a detailed guide and it focuses on Vipassana and it shows you how to control the highs and lows in life and to take charge of your happiness. And this is something I think we're all struggling with is we hear this word happiness and we all want to be happy, but how do we take charge of it? So Vipassana can really help us to actually get there. She's a nutritionist, a chef, an author, and she's been practicing Vipassana for 23 years. She firmly believes that her life has changed after her first Vipassana lesson in 1996. With that, Sonali, a very warm welcome. We're excited to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So, Shonali, tell us, why did you want to write this book? Because you've written others, you've written on diet, you have such vast expertise. Why did you want to write on this specific topic?
Actually, see, Vipassana ran parallel to my life, my career, everything I do, my personal life. It was something when I went for my first course that just happened. And I've written my journey in the book. I've told people how it happened to me, and because I kind of took it for granted because it was always there. It was something I always, it was like brushing my teeth in the morning. It's like I got up, I meditated, I went for a course every year. It wasn't difficult for me to shut down. When I go for a course, I just give up everything and I go. So while I was doing all of this, I didn't realize how many years had passed by, and I'd written my 3 books and all of that. And then one day we were sitting at the Dehradun Literary Fest, Millie and me, my editor, and she said, "Look, why don't you write about Vipassana?" Because I couldn't think of anyone better to do it. And that's how the book happened, actually. That's the real story, how it happened. But I also think it's, the field I'm in borders on both, right? It's diet and food for the body, and tied into energy, because what I do is called macrobiotics, and it means having a larger view of life with your food. We go back to energetics of food, right? So you're looking at one universal energy manifesting as yin and yang, female and male. You're looking at it in food, you're looking at it in people, and Vipassana goes back to energy as well. So it tied very well together because Vipassana happened to me first, and my career in macrobiotics happened to me later. But when I got Vipassana and my career happened to me, they both made sense because they were going back to the same principle of energy. One universal energy, what's within you is out there. So it tied in very well together. So it was the perfect time to bring it out because I use a lot of it in my work with my clients as well, and
So
of
this,
course for myself.
yeah, there's a lot of focus right now on holistic living. Can you tell us a lot about that? Because it's not now saying that only one part. You need to look at it holistically and kind of get all of the pieces working
Yeah.
together.
So holistic living is a very generic term. I think it's an umbrella term used for, just living. But the thing is that when you're looking at your life, you have to look at mind and body, right? Mind and matter. And when you're doing that, you're looking at what is it that's generating negativity and causing these mental patterns, which you can't break through, which are also manifesting disease. So when I look at it that way, that's what's going on with most people who come to me. There's always a mental pattern preceding their physical disease that they've manifested. And if you correct their mental patterns, then because you correct the impurities in the mind, then the disease also gets positively impacted. That's what holistic is actually. When you're looking at a person, you're not looking at treating them with something invasive. You're not looking at them getting onto antidepressants. You're actually looking at them and telling them, look, why don't you remedy the negativity that you're generating in your mind so that if you do that, you'll be able to impact your physical health. And physical health is all about eating close to nature. Physical health is all about eating foods that are natured and not denatured, right? So that's holistic in itself. So to me, that's holistic health or holistic living. You're also inculcating practices which are good for you, like yoga, and you're doing that, someone's doing Tai Chi or someone's exercise. Those are all holistic practices. But when you're looking at the mind and the body, then you're looking at something to help you. And I'm not saying Vipassana for me was the answer. And I think it's the only technique that goes really deep enough to change people, and it's tried, tested, and whatever, because it was introduced by the Buddha, brought to India by Sri Goyanka. It's been run all over the world. It's successful. It does show results, but people have different leanings, so as long as you're leaning on some form of meditation or some form of strategy for your mind, I think it's a start.
So, what is the biggest change? I mean, I'm sure you get asked this question a lot, and you've been doing it now for 26, 23 years. So, what is the biggest change, or have you been able to even track the change, or has it happened
So
so
the changes
gradually?
are very intangible. They are not like, you can't like really, you can't quantify them. For one, because it teaches you to deal with the negativities that you generate. It helps you to transcend to a level where you start getting rid of this baggage that you have. So that's one thing it does for you. And when you do that, then what happens is it almost takes you to, because you're self evolving and it's self evolution, and you're coming back and you're living your life, and you're going for a course, you're coming back, you're practicing, all right, the technique itself. So what's happening is every day your accumulation of uh, things that you attach yourself to, you become a bit detached from them. And then like I bring it out in the book that a lot of I do because I was in business, I come from a business background, I come from market research, and business books tell you to proact and not react, but they don't tell you how. The technique actually helps you go within and see the drama between the mind and matter. So because you do that, you kind of break fundamental patterns, like basic patterns that you have, negative patterns, right? We all have them. And because it helps you go beyond them, then what is happening is you're just becoming a better version of yourself, right? Every time you come back, every time you practice, every time you go out there and you deal with people, you're just hitting a new levels of yourself. So it just makes you deal with, I would say, the trials and tribulations you face with much more grace. And I've talked about a bit about that in the book. You are not always tied to things. There's a little bit of detachment that comes in, which in a healthy way, not in that way of running away from them, but in a good way. You're able to participate in your life and yet not get embroiled in it and embroiled with other people's dramas, which I think is really great. So there are a lot of things which start happening over time, but you do have to practice, which is really important. You can't just go for a course and expect it to change for you. You must practice and you must walk the path. It's very important. It's like, getting on a diet. If you have good food, it's going to show in your body and mind, right? So similarly, if you're going to meditate every day, it's going to show in your mind and who you are as a person, right? It's going to make you that much better. So it's the same thing. You have to walk the path.
So, what's the question that you get most asked? I'll ask that to you right off the bat, and then I want to ask everybody, what do they think Vipassana is? Because when I hear the word, I always hear it with, you have to go away, you go to this retreat, you go for 7 days and you don't talk. But I want to hear what other people's perception is of what is Vipassana, and what is the question that you get asked the most?
About Vipassana, the same thing. Like every time I go for a course, and I've done it for 25 years, and
When
every
you
time
say
I
you've done
go,
it for 25 years, you've
yeah,
gone every year?
I've gone every year, and the question I get asked most people who feel bad that they can't go but see me go, it's really funny, is, "Oh my God, you just went!" like and they say, "But why do you need to keep going again and again?" Most people think it's an escape mechanism. You're going away to run away from your problems in life. You're going away to get a break. Let me tell you, Vipassana courses are no breaks. It's like work. It's serious work. But at the same time, I agree with you. The whole theory, the whole, when you say Vipassana and you say someone's got to go away for 10 days, it really pushes people back. And it kind of, it's this 10-day course, it's rigorous, it's this, it's that. And to demystify it a little bit, that's not what it actually is. You go on, it is tough. There is a discipline to it. There is a structure to it. I've highlighted that in the book as well. But it is basically to go and actually understand the interplay between mind, matter, and how your mind plays tricks on you, and how are you going to come out of that. How are you going to look at the interplay between the mind and matter, because the technique does that. It helps you go to your subconscious mind, and I've explained that in the book as well, and how it does it. And how are you going to surpass that? So because it starts doing that for you and you start seeing things happening, right? You want to believe in it when you go there and move on. Having said that, it does take away your phone. The technique, the courses do not expect you to have pen and paper. The courses are in that way quite structured, and they are rigid. So it takes time because the mind is used to, now with social media also it's become worse. You're kind of latching onto your phones all the time and getting onto social media. But the idea is to not give you any stimulus, right? Because the more the mind is left to itself, the better it is going to, you're going to gather yourself together and come to a place of stillness, which is what the course expects of you, right? So it's not the way it's made out to be. It's actually quite simple. And the first step is very simple, which I've highlighted. There's a meditation. Vipassana means to see things as they are. That's what you asked me what Vipassana meant, and that's what Vipassana means. And it means with to see things as they are, with no judgment, no value, just as they are, because that's the reality of the moment, right? You don't have the past, you don't have the future, you just have the moment. So it the technique is so deep and so real and so good that it kind of takes you to spaces where you start actually seeing yourself for who you are, right? And because you can do that, you come back lighter, you come back richer, you come back better to, kind of deal with your life better. But also, if you're looking at, like, I firmly believe, and I mean, I'm going to say this right here, and I've said it in the book too, that I'm tied to something bigger than just my, physical, like I'm working, this, that, but I am tied to something bigger. And I believe that even the first time I went to a course, because I just feel there's something larger than just, operating on a physical level in life. So, of course, that's a whole another dimension. All those questions I've answered in the book. But the course, each course makes you just hit another level of yourself, which I think is really important. And I've always been a student of self evolution. I've always been very intrigued by the subject of who am I, where am I going, what's my journey, all of that. So it takes you there. It makes you realize what life's all about.
So before I hand it over to you, one more question from my side is, when do you know you're ready? Or is there a path where you say, okay, you know what? These are the things you should think about, because a lot of us hear this word, it's very cool, it's very trendy. We see our friends going. So, whenever you see it's kind of like a lot of people doing it, you're like,
Vipassana
oh.
is not cool. So if someone's telling you it's cool and it's trendy, it's not. Um, and See, you're ready when you're ready. I mean, it'll come to you. You don't have to force it. It'll come to you when it has to come to you. I've written the book so I can at least inspire people to go for a course, because it'll just make them, this whole concept of one peaceful world, which is what macrobiotics, the philosophy I come from, talks about, is consciousness. Like, if you look at why COVID has happened, I've talked about, because I've been a quantum physics student as well. So when you look at the why this has happened, why COVID has happened, you question mass consciousness, then you're looking at larger things in life, right? And we ourselves have done this to ourselves. It's a manifestation. It's like the earth revolting against us and saying, look, now this, I'm going to do this. But as human beings, somewhere mass consciousness went awry. That's why things started happening. All right. So you need to be ready for it, in a sense that you need to know that, look, if I want to take responsibility of my own actions, right, and take responsibility of myself, how am I going to do it better for myself? And not in a selfish way, because I'm not tied to ego there, but in a way that, look, I really want to better myself so that I can better the people around me. I want to better myself so my own consciousness changes so I can impact someone else. Like, I believe in that. You can if you change yourself, it starts there, right? So when those kind of sometimes it's all about, I just want to experience it. Some people go, like, I'll tell you the types of people who go for a course will say, look, I just want to experience it. I just want to be away. Some people say, look, I'm a student. I've, heard so-and-so talk and I want to know about it. I just want to go. A lot of people don't know that it was a technique that the Buddha used and the Buddha taught and the Buddha used to be enlightened himself and then taught it for 45 years later. A lot of people don't know that. So I've kind of highlighted that in the chapter on the history of Vipassana. You know, I think it's the biggest gift that India has got. Apart from yoga, I would say Vipassana is the biggest gift that India has. And as people, if we can take it up, we can really be better people. I really believe in that. So having said that, if you can look at it as step outside yourself and say, hey, look, I really want to impact people. I really want to make a change and I really want to be better for myself first to do it, then you're the kind of person who should go for a course because it teaches you how, right? And all the books that I read on management, corporate management, behavioral techniques, the mind, I read it all. I was 15 years old and somehow these books were coming to me out of nowhere. And I read it and I was done. By 21, I was done with books. I'm like, I need to now experience this myself. And it wasn't happening for me. And then I went to a course and the penny dropped. Everything I read just became crystal clear for me. And I outlined that in the book as well. So the thing is that you need to be so tied to your own evolution, so deeply in tune with yourself and say, look, I really need to do this for myself first so that I can help other people. Because in the end, when I say bring the practice into your life, it's something that even Sri S. and Goyanka said that, it's not, meditation cannot just be restricted to yourself. It's not a self thing. You have to go out there and start practicing it and impact people. And I think my profession is such where I get so many lifestyle diseases and people coming to me that I can actually make a change. So I bring in all my Vipassana to do it, in my training in Vipassana, to impact their life and change them and talk to them about their own mental patterns. And then maybe encourage the ones who can go for a course, and I have encouraged quite a few. So for me, that's a big win, if I can do that. But yeah, you have to bring it into your life. You have to practice it. You have to become this person that, Vipassana wants you to be, this person who is full of love, compassion, kindness, and doesn't operate with the restricted agendas that the mind forces on you. And that's what it does for you. So I'm hoping I'm doing that with my life. I think I am.
Thank you for telling us that, but I'll turn it over to you so you take us to your journey and what we can expect if we go through a Vipassana course and how to go about the whole journey of moving and making that step.
So, for starters, go for a course, right? My journey is, if you pick the book up, my journey is there in the book. And I think taking you through my journey will be just like too long. It happened to me at a good time in my life. It happened to me early in life. I'm very blessed for that. I'm thankful for that because it happened early. So I could take it into my life and practice it thus far. But if you just want to, like I say, become a better version of yourself, and if you just want to affect people on a larger scale, you want to just be, I would say, like, not operate with these limitations that the mind imposes on you, but also in work achieve, like Vipassana has made my work, instead of be like this, be like that. It's like, this is what people sometimes operate with, but I've become like, I just say yes to everything. So it's like, my capacity to take on has really increased. So if you're looking at it from a work standpoint, then think about that. Look at yourself as hitting a new level, and look at also the fact that you will understand yourself so well, right? And by practicing it, you will understand the tools of why you are in so much of misery, if you are in any misery, and why you must not be there, and what is the mind doing for you to be in that. So look at it from that point of view, and then you would want to go and experience it. And it's not as hard as it's made out to be. It's made out to be this, like a concentration camp. Most people talk about it. Oh my God, you got to go away for 10 days. You got to give up your phone. You got to be by yourself. What am I going to do with all my time? What if I can't sit So, I think we create those limitations because we are so scared of sitting in silence and facing things about ourselves. But that is the truth of who we are, right? We got to do it. So look at it as I looked at it as I don't go with any expectations. I say it in the book. Don't go with like, oh my God, what am I to expect? I've made it easy and I've said it somewhere that this is what you should be expecting, but I've not given away too much because I think you should have an open mind and go for a course. There are plenty of centers in every state now, and just pick a course and go for a 10-day course and see what it does for you. It does something for everybody in a different way. So I can't really tell you this is what you're going to get after 10 days. I can't say that, but it'll do something for you. There will be a shift. And this is why a lot of people just keep sticking to the technique and going back for the practice and going back for courses. This is what made me go back, right? Uh, but it's very hard to tell people as to, people don't understand when you tell them I'm tied to something larger and that's why I go back, and people don't understand that stuff. So I don't go there. I try to just kind of stick to the fact that please go for a course. And even if you can start with Anapana meditation, that I have explained in the book. It's a very big step forward, in your life, even if you can use
Can you
that.
tell us more about that, the meditation that you've just spoken about?
So, Anapana meditation basically, the actual meditation makes you focus your breath in this part of the body, under your nose and above the upper lip. There's a reason why that's done, because your breath is the bridge between the mind and the body, right? So we all know once the breath goes, you go, right? So when you try to sit in meditation, the mind has a tendency to go crazy, right? Because you've got thoughts going on and you are jumping all over the place and you've had a day and then you've got this to do and your kids and your husband and your partner and your house. There's so much going on. So your mind has this habit of going into gross reality, but it has to actually be and brought to a place where the mind starts getting used to just the subtlety of looking at your breath and observing the breath in this area. That's the training of the mind. That's what Vipassana meditation initially for 3 days you do. You train the mind to become focused on this one area. Just natural normal breath. So this is not pranayamic breath, this is not altering the breath, this is just your breath as is. Okay, it's the breath going in and the breath coming out, and you're only focused here. Now what's going to happen to most people is when they start to do that, their brain is going to go all over the place. So it's going to be very difficult for them to even try. But the idea is you keep bringing it back. You keep bringing the breath back. Even if you're thinking of 50 things, you're training your mind to come back here. And in that, you're training your mind to get still. All right, to reach a place of stillness. Now, that's the first part of the technique. Because then the next part, you have to go there and experience it. I can't get into too much detail there because that's like, there's a long explanation as to why that happens, but I have gone through it in my book. I've told you why and how and what happens and how the mind processes information and all of that. But this is the first part. If you can sit every day, even for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or increase that, from 5 to 10 to 15, by observing the breath just here, below the nose, above the upper lip, in this part of the body, and just observe incoming and outgoing breath and start training the mind to come back here. You've started the first part of training your mind to now moving from the gross to things outside there to just being trained to come here. And there's a reason behind it. So there's a reason behind it to still the mind. It's used as a technique to still the mind. But there's also a deeper reason behind it, which I think I will leave for Goyanka ji to explain when you go for a course. It's better that way rather than me getting into it.
Now, tell me, I mean, you keep referring back to that you need to go for a course. So, when you are thinking about doing or going for Vipassana, do you have to do a course? And a lot of people are asking, where is the best place? Or what are the best places to go for a
So
course?
there's no such thing as best. You can go where it's convenient for you. So if you're in Delhi, there are 3 campuses in Delhi, I know. You can go there. If you're in Bombay, you want to go to Igatpuri, you can go there. Choose a place which is convenient for you. There are a lot of campuses. Everything's very standardized. It's all the same. The food, the accommodation, everywhere around all the campuses is the same. So it's not that if I go to this location, it'll be like this. Everybody's looking for an experience in meditation. Meditation is not about experiences. All right. And those of them who are looking for experiences, then they are on the wrong path. I can say that. Because meditation is about sitting with yourself and working with yourself. What's coming up for yourself, and how is the mind going to be trained, and the matter, that's your body, that's causing these upheavals in you, going to be trained to achieve happiness. All right. And be detached with the highs and the lows of life. All right. Both. Not attached to the highs, not attached to the lows. So don't expect that you're going to go to a beautiful location and you're going to be plugged into the location. That doesn't happen. You don't have time to be plugged into any location. Choose the best location for yourself. And you have to go for a course only because you will learn from the person who brought the technique to India after it disappeared from India. So it was the technique that Buddha taught, disappeared to the East, and then Goyankaji brought it back to India, and then it spread from India again. So you have to be in a structured course with no stimulus coming to you. So when you're at home, what's happening is you don't know, you've never done Vipassana before. Now you're trying to do it. You're trying to do something with Vipassana. And then now you go out and your child is screaming or your husband's talking to you. And there's so much of stimulus coming in. When you go for a course, it's just you and you alone. There's no stimulus, there's nothing, there's you, there's your meal times, there's meditation. There's 10 and a half hours a day of going through this meditation technique, right? That's intense. So when you're doing that, that's all you're supposed to do to get the results of what they're expecting you to get. Now, they will not tell you these are the results you'll get, but to get you to a space of even understanding and imbibing the technique, you need to do a course. And you need to do a 10-day course because that's the start. All right. So if you want to really meditate, then my advice to people is then go for a course. But if you want to just, dabble in it and just, see what it's all about, and then, whatever, then maybe you just need to sit for Anapana meditation and see if you can get there. This is what I tell people, that, do Anapana meditation. And there are many videos on YouTube now. And Goyanka ji has talked a lot. There's a lot of research out there on the technique. The book talks about it. You go to YouTube, he talks about it. There are many talks on it. So explore it, right? See if you would be the right person to go. He still runs the course free. You don't pay for it. So it's completely based on charity. So if you go for a course, the previous student has paid for you and you'll be paying it forward. So it's that pay it forward model. They don't judge you for how much. They don't even know how much you donate, because he wanted the purity of the technique maintained. So yeah, take 10 days off and go, I would say.
Anything else? Because I think the second thing that we hear about when people think about it is, how am I going to not talk? Because you're not supposed to look at anybody, your eyes are down. And if somebody has never meditated before,
That's
should
the
we?
easiest part of the
Okay.
course, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's the easiest part of the course. Not talking is the easiest. All right. In a world where we're talking constantly, we are looking at social media constantly, we are listening to things constantly, we are so outward all the time. Going to a course and then just coming to yourself and not talking is the easiest thing to do. In fact, because you realize the benefits of the technique by day 3, you realize how much value not talking has. All right. And it's got no religious connotation. The idea of not talking is only because they don't want you to get stimulated by your co-meditator who's going to tell you, oh, something happened to you, what happened to you, that kind of talk. They
So
want
it
you to,
should be what you are
yeah,
experiencing.
what you are experiencing. It's an individual experience with the technique, right? They don't want you discussing it. They don't want you talking. You can go to your people on the course and take, I want toilet paper. Oh, I've run out of this. That you can do. You can talk to your teachers. You can ask questions. So you can go to your teachers. There's a question answer session time. They dedicate 1 hour a day for it. You can go and ask your teachers questions. But they don't want you to get too stimulated because you're already coming from an overstimulated environment, right? So that's the easiest because you will plug out of it so fast. The mind is such a wonderful thing that when you take it away from its situation, okay, from the situation it was in, and you put it into another situation, it adapts. The mind has its own adaptability to the situation that you're in. So that you'll do very easily. It's the, you have to be prepared to be like, I came from a tradition of discipline. So I had this thing about me that I had to get up in the morning, do certain things. I'm very like focused and disciplined and stuff. So a discipline is something that you have to cultivate. If you don't have it, then you'll have to get up early in the morning and you'll have to make it for your meditation. And then what starts happening is the course helps you, the people help you, because you see everybody doing it, and everybody's vibrations are in the same direction. So that motivates you also to get up and you do it. Even if you're dozing off in your first meditation, which happens to all of us in our first few courses, we still do it. We go for our morning meditation, and we follow the practice, because what are you going to do? You've not got a book to read, you've not got a pen to write, you've not got a phone to look at. If you're just going to lie in your room and look at the ceiling, what are you going to go do? You're going to go crazy thinking, right? And this technique is trying to take you away from thinking. They want you to just focus on the technique, and then you have a beautiful discourse at the end of the day by SN Goyanka, who really fixes everything for you at the end of the day. He really tells you exactly the questions that have come up in your head. Why am I doing this? And it's done on many levels. It's done on a physical level, where he tells you what's happening with mind and matter and the body. It's done on a consciousness level, where he's telling you about what's going on outside, and what are we made of, and where are we going, and all of that. It's done on that level. And it's done on a level of yourself, like, why is it that I'm generating so much negativity all the time, and how I should, what is my role in my own life. So it does it on many levels for you, that talk, and that's really interesting. So once you start getting used to it, what you realize is there are very few dropouts, very few people run away. Right? You'll hear a story like, oh, on the third day so and so left. But I think in all my courses that I've done, that's been like really small number of people that leave. Most of them stick it out, and most of them go through the course and come out smiling all the time.
Now, after you've talked a lot about the first 3 days, pre-preparation, 3 days. Now, of course, you've got us curious. What happens after the third day?
So after your mind has been brought to a place of stillness, then it's ready to go to the next step. So basically, Vipassana is about going into the subconscious mind. So it's your conscious mind that has, and I've explained this again in the book, which terms and gives valuations and has this judgment pattern, because it's coming from past conditionings, and it's coming from your years growing up, and all of that. But there's a subconscious mind which is not aware of good, bad, ugly, nothing. It's just aware of body sensation. It's only in touch with your body sensations. So the next part of the technique takes you there, because your mind now is ready to go to the subconscious mind. That's what they're preparing you in the first 3 days. They're preparing your conscious mind to kind of stand by and be at the side, and then they're preparing you with the breath and the way to access the subconscious realm. All right, and they actually do that. So then there's another technique that is taken on, which you have to again go through and experience. It's a technique that they take you to, where you're accessing the subconscious mind, and you actually access it. That's a fact. After 3 days, you are in that space to access it. So I've explained it in the book really well, actually. I've kind of told you how it happens, why it happens. I've drawn a diagram of the mind. I've told you how Vipassana says you process things, and I've kind of, because I came from a background of research, I felt it's always very important in all my books to have a theory. Otherwise, if you don't have a theory, people don't believe you. They think she's talking mumbo jumbo. So because I've experienced it, and I've done study of quantum physics, and I've done study of the brain, and I've done all of that, I've managed to kind of lay it out there. It does get a bit heavy, the book, in the beginning, but then you can read it in parts and bits, but it does explain to you why Vipassana does what it does, because I think it's very important to tell people why is Vipassana taking such a big stand that we're going to they take you to the subconscious mind. They help you get in touch with your matter, which is your body, and how you're generating negativity, and how the conscious mind is getting attached to it. So it does all of that. So I've explained that in the book. And then so for 7 days, for the next 7 days, you're doing the Vipassana technique. First was Anapana, and then you're doing the actual Vipassana technique, wherein your subconscious mind is now active. And your Goyanka ji describes it as the subconscious mind is where all the impurities are. It's like when you cut it open, there's pus that starts coming out. That's what he says. So that's where all your stuff starts coming up, right? Because that's the mind that is being actually carrying impressions from many, many lifetimes, actually, not just this lifetime, right? So that when that starts coming up and that manifests in the sense in body sensations, then how are you working with that to not again generate negativity and get attached to what he calls sankharas and karmas? And it's all explained very well. It becomes very easy to understand once you go there and understand it. I've tried to do justice to it in my book. I've really tried, but I think you need to experience a course. So, like I said, I've done justice to it, but I think you need to go for a course as well.
Now, one of the things you've said that even after the course, you need to keep practicing. So this is
Yes.
not something that, okay, you just go for 10 days in a year and then that's it. It's not like you can do that. You need to kind of follow up with something
So,
during the year.
like, yeah, like anything in your life, if you really want to excel at and be good at, so if you really want to be, for me, it was like, I need to be the best version of myself. So, because I was so tied to it, right? If you're tied to it, you realize when you come back from your first course, very few people seldom sit in meditation. I'll be honest with you. They kind of lose it, somewhere. They know they've come back charged. Oh, I'm going to do it. They'll do it for a month and then they fall off the bandwagon, right? But it takes a few courses sometimes, maybe one or two to get into it. Some people are lucky, they do it the first time and they start meditating right away. But it's like, if you look at it on a physical level, it's like exercise for the body. If you exercise, you will remain fit, right? So if you're going to exercise your mind, you're going to remain fit in your mind, right? So meditation is like exercise for the mind. Yeah. Also, if you look at the deeper implications of Vipassana, then you understand why it is important to do it. We keep gathering impressions all the time. Day to day, we are taking in things. We're like sponges. Everything from the environment we are absorbing. Now, if we need to have some filtering mechanism that's going to help us filter all that out, meditation becomes the only way to do it, right? And meditation can't be and I'm taking a stand here when I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think this is a platform we should be encouraging thought patterns, which are, you can go back and look up a book and say what was she talking about. When you are focused on something like recitation of something, let's say meditation is recitation of some verse that you repeat again and again and again and again, right? The thing is, you are not actually meditating. You're making your mind, you're focusing your mind on that one thing, right? Meditation is actually being free of all of that and working with yourself. All right. So if you're going to do that on a daily basis, then you're exercising your mind and you're also on another level working with everything else that you're taking in on a daily basis and shedding it because you've learned something that's helping you do that. You've learned a technique that's helping you shed all the stuff that you're taking in. That helps you process in a way, right? So on a physical level, you're processing it on a daily basis, but you're not actively doing it because you're focused on the technique and you understand it. You subconsciously it's happening. That technique works for you in such a way that subconsciously that's happening. And when you do it every single day over time, like over 20 years, then it really makes a difference because it started changing something really fundamental in you. Now you see that, oh my God, I used to react like this in this situation and I don't do it anymore. Or this doesn't bother me, and I've stepped back from it. Or I'm not hanging on to this anymore. Things like that. So those are the tangible things that you start seeing happening. And I attribute it to my meditation because I've done it, because my mind now is doing it. Now that's a physical way of looking at a result. Like that's the result of meditation. But it's also our roles as human beings on this earth. So Vipassana makes you question that in a very big way. Like what is our goal in life? What is our purpose in life? I've done that in my book as well. Why are we here? Who are we? These basic questions do get answered, And when you look at all of that and you understand that, look, our only goal in life is to just come from a place of love and do good. That is the goal of life, right? There's nothing else. And we're all going to go the same way. That's the truth, right? So then why not learn? Like he says something really nice, Mr. Goyanka. He says, it teaches you how to die better. I love that. It really does, because we're all running towards death. That's a fact, right? So how are you going to do it in the best way possible, right? So if you can do it leading your life and being a part of this life. So I'm not saying it from a very like a religious level. No, I'm not saying it. This book is too secular to be going in that direction, as is Vipassana also. It's about being the best person and being the best version of yourself and still living your life, right? And not just being good because it's going to get you open a door in heaven. No, but just being good because that is the goal of life, right? That is the goal of life. That is where you're coming from. That is the goal. You are supposed to not be good in the good sense, but just do good and come from love and help people. That is life. So it really teaches you how to do that on a very core level, not just on a word level. That's why you meditate every day. Why do you meditate every day? You meditate every day for this part of you to get heightened, I would say. you know
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that so well. I know Anuji is also here. She's done it a couple of times. And before you take us through an exercise, I would love for Anuji to also share her experiences with us.
Uh, I think let's restrict it to Shonali. She's done it 23 times, and my experience was very different, so I don't want to talk about that here.
Not a problem.
We have just done it for 25 years. We don't say it 23 times or anything, but
Yeah.
Anuji, yes. Every experience, like she says, is different for different people. And I'll say this here, that I truly believe that, the way my life panned out, and I've kind of woven the story in the book as well. My life is exactly, we all have to know that we are exactly where we are meant to be in life. That's one intrinsic factor that we don't seem to understand about ourselves. We are all wanting something else. There's nothing out there. It's all here, this moment. Like, I'm talking to you in this moment. This is the moment I have. And I'm going to give it my best. And I'm going to squeeze the juice out of this moment. That's my motto in life, right? I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm not worried about my past. I'm not worried about my future. It's about being present in this moment and giving you the best. So, and why do I do that? I do that so right now, I'm really wanting to inspire people to meditate, because that is the truth. That's the ultimate truth. Like, when you meditate, you become just a better version of yourself. And that's the goal. And that's what I come with, right? So I truly believe that every experience is unique. Like, I've even said it in the book, that what happened to me on the course was very different from what would happen to someone else, right? And the way someone else would apply it in their life will be very different to how I applied it in my life, right? But what I've tried to do is, because when I went out there looking for books on Vipassana, when I started looking for books, I again got a lot of books, and I say this with utmost respect to people, but with a lot of gyan. And there are some books that shouldn't be about gyan. They should just be about what is, And I was done with, like I say it in the book, I was done with all that gyan for a while. And I loved the books on Vipassana, and I read each and every one of them because I was still a student of Vipassana. I read them. But I felt one needed to make it more relatable for the public. You need to have this, you need to pick up a book and say, oh my God, I can really understand this, because she's talked about this story of hers, which she came out of. How did she do it? That kind of a book. I wanted a book to be about that. But as I said, I tend to get very intellectual and I tend to get heavy. So my first few chapters are about who am I and what is our purpose here and all of that. But I feel people should go through it nevertheless, because there are chapters in there. Then I've gone to the lighter stuff. I've gone through the lighter stuff in life. But, our journeys are so unique, right? When we say I am on my journey, what does that mean? My journey is so different from yours. And Anuji's journey is so different from mine. We are all people on our own journeys, and our journeys are different, right? But our journey should be happy, graceful, peaceful, right? Without any angst and without any, irritation, right? And if we can achieve that, I think we achieve a lot in life, because a lot of people aren't there, because things have only gone worse with social media and pressures and the economic boom and all of that. Things have only gone worse. I think our parents were far happier, and so were our grandparents, right? They were far happier people. And there's a reason for that, right? So if there's someone going to come and tell you, like, look, I have the answer to making you better and making you a better person and making you happy all the time, I would take that. I would take that person's advice and say, yeah, sure, I want to know what the answer is. And I know I'm saying this with a lot of passion for Vipassana, but it's the truth. It is the technique that does make you do that, you know? And that's why I say it with so much passion, right? And I've been a living example of it. It's made me do that. I am here today because I actually knew that at some point, this is what I wanted out of my life. I wanted to be in this profession. I wanted to help people. I wanted to be this, person who did this. I've done a few things which I've stuck to, and I've never really, I work in a certain way, which is a little different also, so I wanted to be this person that took this technique and lived it. When Goyanka ji told us, like, look, you can't just keep meditating every day. You got to live out there, because you're a householder. Go out there and live your meditation. And today I'm living it. So when I'm in a difficult situation today, to tell someone who is, and I've said it in the book also, if someone comes with you running with a sword, you're not going to bless that person and say, look, I'm being very compassionate towards you. But I'm doing that. I'm doing that. I have people coming to me with a sword, and I'm like, I'm not blessing him, but I'm saying, look, it's okay. Let's just sit down and talk about it. There's a way out. You know what I mean? That's what you're looking for in life, right?
So there are a couple of questions that have come. One, Anuji, people are asking, they would love to also understand your experience because it is different. So I am getting a couple of chat messages. So if you feel comfortable, please do tell us. And Praveen is asking that how do we change physically, mentally, and spiritually through Vipassana?
If it's okay, can I say a little bit about my
Please
experience,
do. Please
Shonali?
do. Of
Please do.
course. Please do.
I think Shonali went not when she was in some deep sorrow or trouble. She went to
Actually,
discover.
I did go
You
when I
did?
was in deep trouble and sorrow.
Okay, I
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't
get
say
that
that.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I went around when I was about 53, when I'd lost my husband suddenly at 60, and my company expected me to become the chairperson and run it. And I'm a social worker by training, so to get into a technical field, financially, I'm terrible. So I was constantly devaluing myself and saying, I can't do this. And I had a very close relationship with my husband, and I was missing him terribly. And I was dreading death before I went for Vipassana. So I don't know. I can't explain. I don't even get the bodily sensations. I just do my version of Anapana. But just sitting down for an hour and doing this. But at Vipassana, I got in touch that everyone has certain strengths. They may not be what my husband had. They are my strengths. So all I'm expected to give out my best. Secondly, whether you like it or not, all of us attending the Zoom call are going to die.
Yes.
We don't know when and where. So death is inevitable. So I realize tragedy in life is not death, because that's inevitable. But if you don't get along with the living you care for, if you don't invest in them, if you don't invest in yourself, my highs and lows were much better. I was a person who'd get very excited, not very depressed, but low. Yes, definitely. And definitely there's greater equanimity in my life.
Yes.
So I think you have really practiced it. My respects and admiration for you. I've not been such a good pupil at all, but the 4 programs I've been through and struggled, I found them difficult.
Yeah.
But worthwhile, absolutely worthwhile. Thank you.
That's so lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anuji. Another question I think we're getting is, I think people always are looking at the output. So Praveen also wants to know, how do we change physically, mentally, and spiritually through Vipassana? I think Anuji described it very, very well. She said that mental shift of being able to value yourself. And if you know that what Anuji has described also, she went on to also, really run Thermax to become a big, big entity. And I think I've seen this change that you're also telling about. But Shonali, is it only after one experience, or is it, will we have to constantly do this when we actually experience what Vipassana can do for
No,
us?
so like if you look at Anuji's life, she's saying she took it in and she did 4 courses and she's still doing it 1 hour a day, right? I did it over 25 years and I did maybe 20, 23, 24 courses and I'm still doing it. So everybody takes what they get out of it. Goyanka ji says it's like a bowl of kheer. If you don't like the cardamom, take it out, but eat the kheer, right? So take out what you don't want out of it, but go with what it gives you. Now, the thing is, it's very hard, and I say this in the book as well, that a lot of people and a lot of techniques, because I went through a lot before I encountered Vipassana. All right. I was 26 when I took it up. And already by then, I had read all Jiddu Krishnamurti, and I had read Pupul Jankar, and I had read Ramana Maharishi, and they were all saying, see things as they are. And I was trying to see as they are. I'd go to the train, take a train to Xavier's College, and I'm in the train and I'm holding Jiddu Krishnamurti. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to see this as it is. And I could not, I just couldn't do it because there were thousand thoughts coming my way. And I realized then I used to read Stephen Covey and I used to read all these management books, and they would say, proact, don't react. Then my Masi bought in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita takes you to the subjective mind and the objective mind and talks about Vasana. No one was really putting it all together and saying, look, this is how it is, experience it. Now, the beauty is that till you don't experience it, mind matter phenomena, sitting in quietude with yourself without any stimulus, nothing really shifts. You can try what you want. I'm very clear because I can tell you this. I looked at every angle of this, and I was just reading a lot about the way the brain processes information. I was reading about the subconscious mind, the conscious mind. This is evaluation. This is what happens. And I've talked about it in the book. Nothing really happens till you actually sit and observe the mind and the matter react. Because what is this quantum field? That's where quantum physics comes in, right? And we are all a part of it. This is what mind and matter is. It is all just the quantum field, right? It's just universal energy, right? We all say that. We understand it. We intellectualize it, but we don't want to practice and experience it. So till you don't go sit and practice and experience it in an environment which is conducive, which makes you do it, because Vipassana courses are very conducive to helping you to experience that mind matter phenomena, you're not really going to know that, okay, now I have a stimulus, because I've said in the book, the beauty lies in between the stimulus and the response. There's a gray area which you tap into. That's where all your potential is. Okay, that's where attitudes change. That's where shift happens. And this, I'm not just saying, lots of philosophers also say it. So Shonali Sabherwal is not the only one saying it. I'm just saying that is the truth. Now, when you don't sit and experience this yourself, how are you going to know? You're just going to intellectualize it, right? I intellectualized it up to a point, but when I went for my course and I sat and I saw my mind getting plagued with all this stimuli, because thoughts are stimulus also, no? They're stimulus for the mind, right? So when you're getting engaged in them, and then you're being told to come back to breath, and then you're being told to come back to sensation, there's a deep truth in that. There's a reality there, which then the penny drops on the 10th day, and you say, oh my God, I finally know what I've been doing all this while. Why am I constantly reacting to something when I don't really need to? There's a space of awareness where if I sharpen my awareness, I don't need to react, right? So when you experience, only then will you want to make a shift in your life, and only then will you understand it. See, it's all about experiencing it, right? In our jobs also, till we don't know who does what from process A to process Z, and we don't experience everything, we don't become better managers, we don't become better CEOs, we don't become better people or running our businesses. It's the same thing, right? If you don't experience it, how are you going to know? That's why doing a course becomes important. So if you think you're going to sit here, read a book, right, and get it out of there, my answer to that is, well, great, you must be really blessed if you have, right? Because the thing is, every, and I'm only bringing in spirituality here, just to explain something to you. Every spiritual discipline is supposed to make you a better person. Vipassana is not a spiritual discipline, it's a secular discipline, I would say. All right. Vipassana doesn't claim it's Buddhist. It came from the Buddha. Okay, but it's a secular technique. All right. Now, if you're supposed to be a better version of yourself, how are you going to do it if you don't sit in silence and see how you generate your own patterns, how your mind throws up things, how you react to it, right? So for that, you need to go for a course. You cannot do it by sitting here and reading a book. I don't personally think you can. All right, no major shifts will happen, but yeah, if you can, who knows, maybe you're blessed.
Tanuja had a question. Tanuja, go ahead.
Uh,
Tanuja, go ahead.
I can't hear her.
am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Shonali. I'm so happy that you are on this mission to talk about Vipassana. And just now when you said you have to do the course, you have to do the course. And here you're talking about doing a course where no money is involved. Normally,
Yes.
when people talk about, do a course and, you have to pay up and then you get to know. But I understand what you are trying to explain, and I'm so happy that you are talking about Vipassana. I haven't read your book. I'd like to read it. I have done Vipassana just once, 25 years ago, and I wrote a comment earlier that, and I've shared this with friends, that people go on vacations, but you come back from a vacation absolutely tired. This is a
Yes.
vacation that people need to go through. It's rigorous, it's tough. Because I'm from the field of academics, I felt I was sitting in the library all day. You go to a library where you go early morning and then you
Yeah.
come back in the evening and you're with your thoughts.
Yeah.
You're just with your thoughts. And in fact, if you've done a lot of work, when you come back at the end of the day, you don't want to talk to anyone. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like being immersed in academic work. So the idea of silence and not being able to talk or to look at anyone was not problematic for me. And like you very well explained, that there's so much within us that we don't need any more stimuli. And of
Yes.
course also that there's no need to compare experiences, because then
Yes.
you start doubting your own journey.
Yes.
So, and of course, like I did want to share with everyone who's listening that it is rigorous, it is tough, but at the end, by the 10th day, you come out of it so refreshed, so detoxified, that no vacation ever brings that kind of, you never experience anything like that.
Yes.
So I've been telling people that even if you do it once in your lifetime, experience this.
Yeah.
The food at Vipassana is so wonderful. People are now talking about it. I feel even, I used to write down, I used to make a note. I used to make a note of what I was eating every day. It was so wonderful. Even the food was wonderful. The whole routine was amazing.
Yeah.
I also noticed that you did not mention that we start at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I actually said it very quietly.
Yeah,
I didn't want to
I
get
noticed
started.
that. But it's another one that I did the course mid-December in Jaipur. And imagine getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and sitting through it the whole day. But it's a plunge. It's something that people need to do.
Yeah.
You're not risking anything. It's something that you will take a plunge and come out feeling just wonderful.
Yeah.
And nothing's involved, just 10 days. I'm saying this, although I haven't been able to repeat it in the last 25 years, and every year one plans to do it. Now, the question that I wanted to raise was the fact that 25 years ago, I had a problem sitting on the ground,
Yes.
in that position.
Yes.
And my legs would go off and, would go into this numb, what we say, so gaya pair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would pain, and it was very difficult. I would be sort of, shifting, and no one else would be doing that.
Yeah.
And that would really affect me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because I went up to the teachers and I would tell them that, I'm having this problem. I'm unable to sit for an hour, and it distracts me. I feel the flow doesn't come in because I have to keep adjusting my position.
Hmm.
Um, but they would tell me that, but it'll go away. You sit through it. You
Yeah.
sit through it, it'll go away. It is your sanskars and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, and this is where I wanted to check with you, and I felt it wasn't helping me, because I realized it's a physical problem. It's not helping me.
So,
So I started
yeah.
sitting with my legs stretched in front.
Yeah.
But if I went and told them, they would tell me, no, no, you must continue to sit. But then my entire attention would be on the pain and the
Yeah.
discomfort.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
So
check with you
now
that
they make
can
it
we sit
easy.
on chairs?
Yeah,
Can we
yeah.
sit on a
So
chair?
I've actually said that I've actually drawn the different things they do for you to make it easy for you. I've actually sketched it out in my book.
Okay. Okay.
They are very cooperative now. They give you a chair, they give you a
Okay.
chonky, and they even, if you want to continue to sit on the floor with a backrest, they even give you that.
Okay.
And they make it as easy as you. I guess this has evolved over time.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
They
I'm
make
sure.
it as easy for you as possible. And that's one chapter I wanted to put in my book, because I wanted to encourage people and say, so a lot of people have genuine problems.
Yeah.
Older people, so, and younger people, because everybody's knees are blowing now. Everybody jogs
Yeah.
and their knees blow. So I've kind of drawn it and said, this is what they do for you if you ask them for it. Tell them at the beginning of a course. Of course, as you know, you've been for a course. The reason why the teachers tell you to go back and sit in that pain is because they want you to detach from it. And
Yeah.
they want you to go into that whole sensations which they are teaching you.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a reaction of your mind. If you understand what pain is, right?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
body is reacting, your mind is reacting to that gross pain.
Yeah.
And the theory wants you to go beyond that. But having said that, in the beginning, they try to make it as easy for you, and they are very encouraging when you
Yeah.
ask them for a chair or a chonky or a backrest. They don't make
Yeah.
it difficult for you anymore. And you've got to know how to go and ask the helpers or the
Yeah.
people in the course, right? So they do
Yeah.
make it easy for you. So don't worry about it. If you ever did another
Yeah.
course, it won't be that difficult.
Yeah.
I want to encourage people and tell them that it is easy.
Yes. Yeah. So along with you, I'd like to appeal to all the 41 people that they must do it. It should be on, if nothing else, on your bucket list. If you don't plan to, practice it. And like you said earlier, one can read hundreds of self-help books. You read, it's confined at that level. But the key to bring about that transformation, and
Yes.
here I'm talking, having done just one course,
Yes.
but I know what it is. It's like, what needs to be done and you're not doing it.
Yes.
But the key to, why, despite reading all those books, one is unable to bring them into practice. Vipassana will bring all those self-help books into practice.
Yes.
That's what I feel. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Not at all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanuja. And we are out of time. So, any last words, Shonali, before we end for today? Or any last questions if anybody has also, we'll take them.
I would just say go for a course. Pick up my book. Yes, try and read it. Send me some feedback. I'd love some because I'm always working at being a better writer. And I'm easy to contact. My contact details are all over the place. If you Google me, so you'll find me. My contact details are also in the book. And meditate. I would say that's the only answer to life's problems, and that's the only way to become better people. And do this for yourself. I would say just meditate and meditate more. Whatever you do Vipassana meditation if you can. Yes, but if you can't, start meditating.
Zainab had a question. Zainab, you have your hand raised.
Hi, Shonali. How are you?
Hi, Zainab.
You are doing fine. I hope you remember me, but
I do, Zainab. You did my Delhi workshops.
Yes, I have been your big fan since 1.5 years.
Yes,
And, I already have your two books in my hand. And,
thank you.
whatever you do, I always follow you. And you know that.
Thank
Being
you.
like a crazy teenager, I always follow you for whatever you do. First, I switched to microbiome. Now I'm switching to Vipassana, I guess. And I was thinking about Vipassana from past so many months, and I was into this big fast that whether to go with it or not to go with it. If I would knew that you have already done Vipassana, I won't think about it much, honestly. But my question is that should I read your book before going to Vipassana or after coming from Vipassana?
If you're thinking of going for a course soon, then go and come back and then we read my book. But I would say, if you've got my book, read the section which I say on, which I start with. I think it's part 3, which kind of highlights what to expect from a course. That will really help you. Yeah, before you go. Are you there, Zena? Okay,
Zainab, I think,
we lost.
yeah. So, what's the
Yeah,
name of
yeah,
the
got
book?
it.
Amita is asking. Very easy. It's called Vipassana, and it's
Called
very.
Vipassana, the timeless secret to meditate and be calm. That's the title.
And Madhumita is asking, do you conduct course by yourself and any chance in Mumbai?
So I only have been doing the Anapana meditation off and on, and I do it on my Instagram. I haven't conducted a course myself. We are allowed to teach Anapana meditation after so many years of practice. So I try to encourage people to do Anapana, but I've not done it. But if you keep in touch with my Instagram page, I am planning to have a meditation soon for people on, like a live. We'll do it on a live.
So please do repeat the name of the book.
It's Vipassana, the timeless secret to meditate and be calm.
Do you have an Insta handle?
Yes, Soul Food Shonali. That's my Insta handle.
Great, guys. We wish you all a great weekend. Hopefully, you'll have something to think about, and hopefully, this talk has definitely made you think about when and how. And I'm thinking it's mostly the when and the how you will go for Vipassana meditation. Same for me. It has really opened my eyes as to how powerful this
Actually,
technique
I'd
is.
like to say something here.
Go ahead,
If
please.
you intend it,
It will
if you
happen.
intend it, it will happen because the universe will support you to go. This is what we Vipassana meditators say at every course, because every course we have to think and say, how am I going to go? And all my 25 years, every year that I've gone, this is what I've done. Because a lot of people ask me, being in the business I am, with the clients that depend on me, how do I just go? How do I shut shop for a month? I've done a 1-month course, just shut shop and go for a month, 10 days, 20 days. You do it because you first intended. You intend it, you put it out there, and you send the thoughts out there that, look, I really want to do this for myself, and it'll happen. It's like
And
magic, it happens.
so Ambika is asking anything that's upcoming, any upcoming workshops.
Nothing planned yet. You'll hear about it on my pages. I'm too busy, getting this, trying to get people to pick the book up, read about it. So right now, December is devoted to that. But something's going to be coming up in February, yes.
Well, thank you, everyone, and I wish everyone a very, very good weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.